What if I told you Nvidia is trading at similar valuations to Google, one of the cheapest Mag 7 available right now? You might be like, Jose, you sound crazy, and you're probably not going to show us the graph until the end of the episode to get all the views. Well, nope, I'm just going to show it right now. We can see, look, forward 1 year PE ratio for Nvidia is roughly 20.77. Now for Google, for roughly the same time frame, is 19.64. I think this is insane. On today's episode, I kind of want to share my overall thoughts on why and how I would be purchasing Nvidia right now, and also some of the recent news that have impacted the overall market, especially the AI space, more Nvidia as well. Things like Palantir, updates to the tariffs, some crazy AI podcasts that I think every investor should know about. So let's get started with today's episode. But before we go anywhere, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for special offer at fool.com/Jose, and check out my free daily semiconductor newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so like I mentioned, today we're going to discuss Nvidia and kind of its valuation on a very quick level overview. So Nvidia right now is sitting at $116, and it did finish the day roughly 3% down. After hours, the stock is up roughly 1.2%. And just a few things that if you've been living under a rock, Nvidia right now from its pretty much high of 150, the stock is down roughly 22%. So if you've been following this channel, you know we did not like Nvidia as a buying opportunity in the 150s. Now at these levels, I'm going to say I think Nvidia is looking pretty attractive. But let's try to understand what is changing, what has changed since then, and what has created this huge volatility. The first thing is DeepSeek, right? Kind of that AI Chinese company that pretty much destroyed the AI market. I've talked about it in other episodes. Well, I believe DeepSeek is making AI innovations. I don't believe it is a destroyer of AI infrastructure or a destroyer of AI GPU needs like the whole market is going about. So that I believe has created a buying opportunity. And most recently, this past weekend, we originally heard of some tariffs impacting Mexico and Canada. There are some updates about that, but those have been the two main driving forces for the negative price action for Nvidia. And I believe both of them are more short-term pains than long-term pains in the thing, right? I don't think DeepSeek is a destroyer of AI infrastructure, and I don't believe the tariffs is a destroyer of AI infrastructure as well. So for those that are not familiar, Nvidia right now is my number one position with over 25% of my overall portfolio. Now, there might be some investors here that probably have similar size or even bigger than mine. I want to say for investors like me that probably have a good chunk of Nvidia, times like this is where I would kind of do very small dollar cost average, as I already enjoy my risk, my portfolio allocation, right? For some, 25% might seem a little bit. For me, 25% is a very healthy amount, right? So for me, I'm already kind of getting to my limit in my portfolio allocation for an individual stock. So it forces me not to buy too much. But let's say Nvidia was maybe more like 1, 2, 3, 4%, even anything below 10% of my overall portfolio, I definitely would be buying more on these dips. And at the same time, I wouldn't kind of put all my money at once, because just like we see right now, random events can cause stock price volatility. And in the semiconductor market, random events happen a little bit more than usual. I mean, I think in the past 6 months, every time I've talked about Nvidia, how I wouldn't purchase it at those high values and kind of been more patient, I kind of get that pushback from the comments, but I'm happy I do those videos as it helps me control not only my own bullish sentiment, but hopefully maybe others as well on it's not always all hype, right? We have to kind of be calm in either both the bullish side and also the bearish side. So, right. So when stocks are pretty excited, especially for Nvidia, I try to be the reasoning of, hey, look, things can go down. And like we've seen in the past few days, when stocks drop, I also try to be the reasoning, hey, this might seem like an overreaction. So right now, I really do like NVIDIA at these levels. If it was definitely a way smaller position in my overall portfolio, I would be adding at these levels. Now, some quick updates to the Trump tariffs. Right now, as of the recording right now, both Mexico and Canada and the United States have worked something out where tariffs have been paused for the next 30 days. Now, that is bullish in the short term of things, but it could kind of create more volatility in the upcoming weeks. Because what happens in 30 days, if someone's not happy with what's happening, we're going to get these tariffs discussion all over again, right? So that's going to create even more volatility in 30 days if there's some iffiness with someone not liking what the other nation is doing. The other thing is these were just two nations, Canada and Mexico. What happens if we start to see more tariffs internationally as well? How can that play away into the volatility? So investing in companies, especially in the AI space right now, I think we're going to be faced with a lot of volatility. Now, volatility is not risk as a form of investment, in my opinion, but it's more a risk in investor emotionality, right? Because investors, when you kind of see, or when we see that volatility, when a stock price drops a lot, it definitely impacts us one way or another, and we don't want to make irrational decisions. So that's the risk. If your emotional tolerance on volatility is not high, then your risk amplifies a little bit because you might make decisions that you didn't want to make. So definitely keep all that in mind when investing in companies like NVIDIA and the AI space. Now, I also wanted to take a closer look at Palantir. So Palantir reported earnings today, and after hours, the stock is up over 22%, sitting at $102. Now, the reason I'm excited about Palantir is because Palantir is telling me, as an NVIDIA investor, that companies are moving to the AI space, right? So Palantir is providing customer software solutions, focusing in the AI market. So by doing that, it kind of gives me a sentiment that AI infrastructure, AI compute is going to be still heavily needed, right? While Palantir doesn't deliver, say, what they're using for GPUs to kind of run these software applications, because it doesn't matter for them. Most likely all these software applications are either run on cloud or on premise, and running on cloud or on premise, they're going to be using some form of AI GPU. We know who the major market share player here is in the GPU space. In the AI accelerator space is Nvidia. So if you start to see more companies grow in adopting AI, then you're going to see more use cases and more reasons for AI infrastructure companies and cloud computing infrastructure companies to buy more AI GPUs. So it's just showcasing that there is a bullish demand, and the type of growth rate that Palantir is discussing. We can see the revenue was 828 million versus 776 million expected. For the upcoming quarter is expected to be roughly 858 to 862, where analysts were expecting about 800 million. So we can see huge growth beat. This is showcasing the huge demand and the huge adoption by AI software, which in my opinion is bullish for the AI infrastructure plays. Now, another one that I want to discuss is DeepSeek. Not DeepSeek. Lex Friedman just released a very, very short podcast. All jokes, not a short podcast. This is about a 5-hour podcast with Dylan Patel and another kind of AI research scientist, Nathan Lambert. And if you want to learn about the AI space, if you want to learn about NVIDIA, if you want to understand this market so much more, I think this is a free 5-hour master's class, right? So you would go into this class knowing nothing, and after 5 hours, your knowledge would be a lot higher. So if you have 5 hours to spare, if you're taking a drive if you're commuting and you have 30 minutes to commute, it's only going to take a few days to listen to this whole podcast. It gives you something to listen to. Also, breaking it up maybe in not one sitting allows you to absorb the information a little bit more. So definitely check it out. They have a very great kind of timestamps of what they discuss. So maybe just start off with what you want to listen to, but this is something I am going to be listening throughout the upcoming days. Now, kind of something I missed here with Palantir. Palantir did mention that their business results continue to astound them, demonstrating their deepening position at the center of the AI revolution. Our early insights surrounding the commodity of large language models have evolved from theory to fact. And again, for NVIDIA, it doesn't matter what large language model wins, right? It doesn't matter anything about that. The large language models and training is one portion, but then you have the inference, you have the post-training, you have the pre-training. So as long as AI computational power is still needed, it's definitely at least a nice bullish evidence, not a guaranteed, but at least a nice bullish evidence that NVIDIA can continue to win. So that's, I think, all I have for NVIDIA. I actually might have one more thing. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So some other things that I kind of want to discuss is many people believe DeepSeek is a main threat to NVIDIA. I don't think this is the case. NVIDIA has always worked on making AI cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And most recently, they announced that DeepSeek reasoning models can be accelerated using NVIDIA's RTX consumer GPUs for AI PCs. And it's just showcasing, they're like, hey, look, we're not scared of this. You can use our products to run this DeepSeek model. And also they have added DeepSeek R1 into NVIDIA's AI software solutions. So it's just kind of showcasing that for NVIDIA, very similar to how Palantir mentions that LLMs are going to be a commodity. So it doesn't really matter. The thing that's matter is you're going to see huge adoption. With that huge adoption, you're going to see more computational power need. With that computational power need, you're going to see more investments in infrastructure. Now, in the upcoming days, guys, I am going to be doing more episodes on earnings that I might have missed, like maybe a CapEx earnings. Nothing really worries me. And that's why, as a long-term investor, I think NVIDIA is definitely sitting at great risk to reward values. This doesn't mean it's a guaranteed winner, right? No stock is a guaranteed winner. So always remember that when investing in a stock, always understand your value, your risk tolerance. How much of a position can you ever build in a company? What happens if NVIDIA drops another 10%? Again, I don't think stuff like that is impossible for NVIDIA. If you told me tomorrow NVIDIA was closer to $100 than 120, I would say, okay, that's probably true, because this AI market, the overall space that we're in right now, volatility is pretty high. So always make sure you understand that there's no guaranteed win in the market, but I really do enjoy my risk to reward ratio for NVIDIA right now. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care and make sure to check out that free newsletter at whatthechip.happened.com.